All right, let's look at the different ways of creating a list. We have already seen one. You can pack your list with its members. All right. This is one way of creating a list. You include those members inside two curly brackets, and then you have a list. All right. Um, Another way of creating a list is using a very useful method called append. This is the second and a little bit more common way of creating a list, right? This is how it works. We are going to start with a empty list. It doesn't have to always be empty list, but in this case, we are going to start with one. I'm going to write states is equal to empty list, and then states dot append. Let's call DC as a state. All right, and then let's look at states. It's a list with one member, DC. All right, now I can keep adding members to it. I can say append Virginia, states dot append Maryland, MD, and states. Let's add one more, dot append New York. Right, New York. Now, if I look at states, I have DC, Virginia, Maryland, and New York. You see that every time that I append, it adds to the end of the list. First is DC, and then it's Virginia, then Maryland, and then New York. All right. This is a very common way of creating a list. Another way of creating a list is you can create a list from a string. All right. Let me define a string. This time I'm going to define cities equal to, right? It is a string. This string is going to be New York, San Diego, DC, and this is enough. This is enough. All right. So we have defined cities. It's a string, and from Python's point of view, this is just one group of characters set by each other. Now, what we can do, we can use cities dot split. This is a string method that you have seen earlier. String method, if you don't pass anything to it, it is going to split it based on space. Let's see how it works. All right. Cities that split, it is going to create a one member in the list, new, and then because there is a space between new and York, it is going to create another member, York, but then there is no space between York and comma, so that comma comes with York, and then you have San Diego and DC. Well, nonetheless, the output is a list, but this is probably not our ideal output. So let me copy this here one more time, but this time I'm going to say, you know what, split by something slightly different. Split, you see that between name of cities, you have comma space, right? I'm going to use exactly that, comma space, and see what happens. There you go. This is exactly the output we wanted. New York, San Diego, and DC. You see these name of cities, they are now members of our list. And if you don't believe me, you can the telltale sign is these brackets, but you can always use type of cities, and it is going to give you type of, oh, my bad. Let me define this as cities underscore list. I'm defining a new variable, and that is correct. All right, cities is a list. You see that up here, it is a list. All right, so let me define another object. That's going to be cities data split, and then let's look at its members one more time. Cities list, and it is a list. And if you want to double check it, it is going to be cities, of course, cities list, and it is going to be a list. All right. Now, this is another common way of creating a list. Well, can you undo what we did here? We took a string and we turned it into a list. Can you take a list, something like this, and turn it into string? Yes, you can do that. That is, I'm going to give you a hint. That one is with a join method of a string method. So please go ahead and go ahead and check your Python Fundamentals Part A handout, and that is going to give you plenty of examples of using join method. So in the next video, we are going to continue discussing how we can create lists and how we can access members of a list, how we can remove members of a list. All right.